Welcome to the Orange Hammer Podcast. My name is Corbett Storick. I've been a licensed general contractor for 8+ years, specializing in new construction, renovation, furniture building. I'm the son of an architect and an interior designer, and I've been surrounded in this industry since birth, watching all aspects from concept, design, build, punch list, and of course, all the problems that come up in between. In my time in Durham, North Carolina, I've noticed a significant gap in knowledge between homeowners who need work and the people who do the work. On this podcast, I hope to break down the process of homeownership from the perspective of both the homeowner and the contractor in an effort to help raise the knowledge of homeowners about their homes and the construction/renovation process. I hope you enjoy. If you're enjoying the Orange Hammer Podcast, or if you have a topic that you want covered, or have recently done a project, please contact the Orange Hammer Podcast. The Orange Hammer Podcast is on Instagram and Facebook. Please like and subscribe, share on whatever platform you're enjoying your podcast on. Also, check out our YouTube channel, The Orange Hammer. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by CRS Contracting LLC for all your construction and handyman needs, new buildings to renovations, furniture building, EV charger install, or even a TV mounted. You can call me, Corbett Storick. It'd be my pleasure to help you. You can find me on Instagram at CRS Contracting. WSDG, the Walter Storick Design Group, specialists in architectural and acoustical consulting. Check out WSDG.com. And Taylor Bragg, for all your artistic needs in all mediums. You can find her on Instagram at brag_about_art. That's brag, BRGG, with 2 G's. She's the fantastic artist behind the Orange Hammer logo, and she did my fantastic table painting of my podcasting table. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by Stacy Sloan with Keller Williams Elite Realty, proudly serving the Durham and Triangle area for 25 years. Call Stacy at 919-972-1180. The Orange Hammer Podcast is proud to be brought to you by Rachel Z with Rachel Z Real Estate Team Realty. From the Triangle to the Triad, call Rachel Z at 919-323-6068. All right, everybody, welcome to the Orange Hammer Podcast. Today, the studio is as packed as it gets. We've even got Willie Bear, the studio dog. Oh, he heard his name, and now he wants to be pet. Okay. Today, we've got John, Michelle, and even though I don't have a fourth mic, Ashley in the background from Made4Me, which is I don't even want to incorrectly describe it, so I'll throw to you guys. How would you describe Made4Me? Is it a non-for-profit?
Yeah, Made4Me is a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We're based out of Raleigh, and we exist so that we know that parents that have a special needs loved one can't often find or afford the equipment they need to give that loved one just a decent day-to-day life. So what we do is we partner with those families and their therapists, and we create custom and personalized adaptations for them using cardboard as the base building material. And once we're done, we give it to them at no cost to those families.
To say this is like a miracle walking, I think is kind of an understatement, because if you are a normal abled person, like I kind of consider myself, I have like a foot thing, but like in the reality of comparison, like I'm regularly abled or normal abled. I don't want to use the incorrect term. Please correct me. But like the everyday tasks, you don't think about them. Correct. Like having to reach up and open the fridge or open the cabinet above the countertop, or even just needing a step stool to reach something, being able to, change the toilet paper holder or whatever the menial everyday tasks that we just think is everyday life.
Right.
And creating that, whatever it might be, via a step stool or some sort of reaching tool or anything in between, like that's a night and day for the attempt, or not even the successful attempt of living an everyday life.
Yeah, we see that every time that we work with one of our families. The simple things that you said that we take for granted, their loved ones can't do.
Yeah.
Or they struggle to do them. or their therapists and their families are trying to work with them so that eventually, prayerfully over time, they'll be able to do those simple things. But when they're young, they just can't.
So what age ranges are we working with in terms of the people that we're helping? You guys are helping.
Michelle, what's the youngest hero that we've worked with?
1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Under 1?
Under 1, I think.
Under
Why
1.
I think was
what would
less
you
than
say
a
the
year old.
oldest?
85.
Okay, so there is no. It's just if you
No
need
age
if
limit.
If there's a way to help, you guys will find a way.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'd like to, so many things I want to talk about. I'd like to back up right to the beginning and say, shout out to Ed King for putting Ashley's number in my face and going, you make furniture, they make furniture, you guys should talk. So thanks, Ed. We appreciate you. But even before that, who started the company and where did this idea come from? What did the early days look like?
Yeah, so the early days started in summer of 2016. My next door neighbor, Jim McKagy, was looking for employment at that time, and as only God can do, he was pointed to an organization up in New York City called Adaptive Design Association. They've been doing something very similar to what we're doing now for over 20 years.
Okay.
Jim reached out to their executive director, had a conversation with her, became enamored with what they're doing and why they're doing it. And he walks across the backyard in the summer of 2016 and says, hey, John, I'm thinking about starting up a nonprofit to help people with special needs. Do you think you might want to help? And I was about a year from retirement, or I had retired about a year earlier. So I said, yeah, it sounds like fun. What are we going to do? And he goes, well, we're going to make custom adaptations for them using cardboard. And I said, yeah, okay, right. Yeah, I'll play along for a little while. Because if you're like me, when you think of cardboard, you do not think it's strong. You do not think it's durable. You think it's probably not going to last very long.
Yeah, I would definitely want to dive into cardboard a little later for sure.
And you should.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jim and I and 3 other friends traveled to New York City in December of 2016. We spent a week with Adaptive Design Association, learning what they do, how they do it, the materials, the process steps. And we came back from that week and immediately started building in my garage.
That's incredible that company had no problems bringing you guys in and didn't realize that this isn't competition. There's plenty to go around.
Yeah, you're exactly correct. This the nonprofit world, and when you're trying to serve others that are less fortunate in yourself, if you've got the right reason why you're doing this, you do not view anybody trying to do the same thing you're doing as competition. It's just come on into the family and do well.
Yeah, I've discovered that even in my world where we're very much like, I'm a capitalist trying to make, like, I'm a for-profit. I'm not a non-for-profit, but I've realized that the older I get and more mature I get and the right people I have in my circle, the competition is removed because there's still enough to go around and plenty to elevate each other. Like, I just met at a BNI, a general contractor. We do the exact same thing. But then we had a conversation. He was like, I don't really like going to Durham. And I was like, cool, I don't really like going to Cary. So we're not really in competition. And want to come on the podcast and give me some crazy stories and share subs and this, that, and the third. And all of a sudden, we're both elevating each other. And it's not competition. So it's very interesting to see how that changes both from nonprofit to for-profit, but also just as the years go on and the perspective changes.
Right.
So you got in from the ground floor, day one,
Yep.
Start making right after you get back from that trip.
Literally.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So what's it like filing for a nonprofit? Because starting an LLC was, like, when I did it, the hardest thing I had ever done. Looking back, it was like, okay, I hired a lawyer. I prayed that the name was not taken, and I paid a couple of dollars. And it's like, I got to just refile it every year. It's not that big a deal. What's it like to start a nonprofit? I would assume it's much harder.
Well, the government views nonprofits differently than for-profits, and there are actually more hoops to jump through than a for-profit does.
Yeah, because you get so many tax advantages. They want to make
Right
sure
on.
you're not
Yep.
defrauding the IRS.
You have to prove to the IRS that you're legit. You have to prove to, in this case, North Carolina, that you're legit, and you have to have bylaws. You have to have a board of directors. You have to prove that you are providing value to the community, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not terrible, but it's not easy. And looking back on it, because you don't want to be viewed as you're not reputable, I'm glad that those hurdles are in place. And once they're in place, then you are required by the government to file certain things every year. Just like we file taxes, we have to file our taxes. It's not taxes, but it demonstrates to the U.S. government that we're still legit. It demonstrates how we're using our money, how we're raising our money. But it's more than just a government requirement. I mean, you want the community that you're out there asking to support you to also recognize that you're very legitimate. So you go and be of high integrity in everything that you do, and you demonstrate to that community that it's worth their time and their money to support us.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a duh, but also that's worth mentioning for sure. Yeah. So how do you go from a tiny garage to like full on space? And then also actually, let me back up. What kind of disabilities are you working with? And what kind of organizations are you working with?
Yeah, we support any physical, emotional, developmental, behavioral challenge that an individual might have. The only qualifier we have when we're working with a family is, do you have a loved one that has a special need? If the answer to that is yes, you qualify.
Wow.
So it runs the gamut of physical to emotional. So when you think about it, the ones that may come to mind: cerebral palsy, yes; muscular dystrophy, yes;
Down syndrome.
Down syndrome, yes. What others, Michelle?
Skeletal, neurological.
Yep. Autism spectrum. Right?
So when you talk about the skeletal and some of the other physical ailments, it's a little bit easier for me and maybe listeners to think about you making something physical for them, like maybe a step stool or some sort of stabilizing walking device or something, a specialty chair or something I can't even think about. But it makes sense. Physical ailment, physical object. What would you be making for somebody who has you mentioned the emotional needs? Like what kind of item would you be making for that kind of need, and what would some of those diseases be? Is it diseases or ailments? What's the right term there?
Arose by any other name.
Okay, just
You're
making
good.
sure. I don't want to be inappropriate and use.
You'll find that over
incorrect.
time the political correct response to a question changes. So special needs, special abilities, disabilities. If people are understanding why we're doing things, they won't get hung up about the term. And I hope that your listeners will feel that way too.
I think that's a very good point. Yeah, we're all coming to this from a very good-hearted place with only that as an intention. But yeah, really curious, like what would some of the not physical ailments be? And then what would some of the things that you would make, like the solution or the product or whatever you want to call it?
I don't know that it necessarily changes from physical to mental. We make a lot of the same things, but it just is the way that it helps them.
Okay.
So a chair could help somebody who can't sit by themselves, but could give somebody who can sit by themselves comfort. So how do I say it? It'll give them a comfort to where a normal chair wouldn't.
Just by making it
think of somebody with the emotional background of needing just their own space, their own comfort, to where people who can't sit by themselves, maybe we have to make it a certain angle on the back or a certain angle on the seat or to move different positions.
You'll find that individuals that might be on the autism spectrum, for example, there are techniques to keep them calm, because one of the attributes of that particular issue is they're very active, they're very fidgety, they can't sit down for a while, can't stand for a while, because they always want to be on the go. And our therapists that we work with guide us on what's the best technique to try and take care of the issues. And so I'm thinking of Darius, right? He's on the spectrum, almost very active, almost to the point of being destructive. Mom would not be able to sit down for 15 minutes because she had to keep eyes on Darius all the time. Well, when we work with mom and their therapist, happens to be an occupational therapist, they're looking for something that will be fun, he will recognize as his, and it will provide that security blanket, that Linus blanket effect. And so we created a custom John Deere chair for Darius. And why John Deere? Because his grandfather had a John Deere tractor, and he rode on that tractor with his grandfather. So for Darius, it was a connection with a loved one, his grandfather, and as soon as he got into this John Deere tractor, he calmed right down. And so that gave mom the ability to go do laundry, get dinner ready, take a breath.
Yeah.
So sometimes we started the conversation, sometimes it's the simple things that we take for granted that are life-changing for some of our families.
Yeah. And that's a great example of not only Darius with the ailment being helped, but mom, who was just like, yes, this is my kid, and I'm still Mama Bear, but being Mama Bear is exhausting way more than it should be, and she has to, self-care is still important. Yeah. And so that's a good example of that for sure.
Yeah, and that's why our mission statement is, we're here to help improve the lives of people with special needs and those who care for them.
Yeah.
Because lots of times it's not just those that are dealing with the challenge, it's those that are caring for that individual 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Yeah, yeah. That's I think that's well said. And I think a lot of people who don't have these kind of things on their radar daily don't really think about it.
It's not in their world.
Yeah.
And not to get too far down the weeds, but we also understand that the world is really not built to support the special needs community. It in so many ways, and we're just trying to deal with a little slice of that, and hopefully make the world a little bit better for those folks.
Yeah. Well, you got to start somewhere, and someone's got to do it. So at least you guys are doing what you're doing.
Yep.
So what's the most common item you guys build?
Chairs and stairs.
What's the thing that you've probably only made once that's so out of this world that's like, I can't believe we made this? It's a one-off.
It's probably a stander that we made for a young man named
A stander?
A stander, yeah. So a stander, think of it, we can get up off the chair. Our legs are strong enough to keep us vertical. Lots of our family kids, they can't do that for a variety of reasons. But from an exercise perspective or an inclusive perspective, you need therapists and families want a device that allows their loved one to be as if they were standing, but they need it to be a supportive device. And so that's the stander. And the way it's created is fit for the individual. There are harnessing and strapping that allows them to be protected when they're in a vertical position. And it supports their leg, their trunk, their whole body.
It's like a walker on steroids.
Yeah, it doesn't move, right? It's a stationary device. And first of all, these things are very, very expensive if you try to buy them on the open market. And so that's one of the things why we exist, is because we don't charge, so you don't have to worry about, the funding it. But what made this particular one so unique was the fact that Mom could, it had the ability to rotate from a horizontal position to a vertical position. So Mom could put Colin onto it while it was in the horizontal position, get him harnessed in and protected, and then rotate it so that he was vertical.
Very cool.
And
That's
that took
awesome.
a while from an engineering perspective, design perspective, to get right.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, not that the cardboard product you're using isn't super strong, but you're talking about rotating and gears and body weight. Like there's a whole
There's
other
forces
zone.
at play that you want to make sure that from a safety perspective that you're addressing.
Yeah, you're making special needs furniture. Safety's got to be redundantly taken care of over
way
and
up
over
high.
again. Yeah. Okay. So now I would love to dive in the cardboard. Perfect segue. So why cardboard? Is it so that if they fall into it, they don't hurt themselves? Is it just that? Is it that light for them to move around?
It's much lighter weight than moving around wood.
Okay.
It's
And
lightweight. It's
better than plastic for the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not. We do like the fact that the materials that we use are environmentally friendly, right? And it starts with the cardboard. It goes to our glues, goes to our paints, and the coatings that we put on. We use water-soluble materials. But the cardboard, like Michelle says, is extremely lightweight. So many of the devices that we're creating, families don't need to be worried about, am I going to move this around the house? Oh, how can I move it from the house to the car? They don't have to worry about that. If I had some devices here, I could literally pick them up with one finger, right? And that's a full chair, right?
What's like the average weight of one of your chairs?
Less than 20 pounds, 10 pounds.
Really small, or really low,
Very low.
light. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's
So it's very lightweight, but it's extremely strong. We always get asked about how strong it is, don't we, Michelle?
We do.
Yeah, I saw in your book there's like some 700-pound dude on one of your stools, and then there's a truck on 4 blocks made of cardboard. Clearly the stuff is good. It's
we
holding
use
up.
people rightfully so. I mean, again, we're all creatures of the environment that we live in, and when we think of cardboard, everybody knows of Amazon, and they see the boxes that stuff comes in, and and it's made out of cardboard. It says, you're making it out of this stuff? Well, not exactly.
I mean, no, you guys are making it out of. Well, you said it before we started rolling, but you said, what is it? Something?
It's called Tri-Wall. That's the
Tri-Wall.
vernacular. It's corrugated material. It's got 3 layers to it.
How thick when you get the sheet is it?
5/8 of an inch.
Okay.
Is the thickness of that sheet of cardboard.
And you could still glue 2 sheets together and make.
We often do.
Yeah.
For some of our devices, we do a lot of double layers, triple layers, depending if we're doing a rocking unicorn like we are now. There's 6 layers put together.
I mean, it's the same concept when I built my carport and I had to triple up LVLs. You know, 1 could just not do it, and 3 with some nails and bolts and glue.
Yeah.
Boom, there you go. I could do the 24-foot span, no problem.
Yeah. So the cardboard, just to continue on, there's 4 things about cardboard. First of all, if you think about the mission of trying to help others, United States, we're blessed by comparison to any place else in the world, but the issue of having a special needs is worldwide. And so if you go to another country that doesn't have the luxury of getting Tri-Wall, well, you can make Tri-Wall if you have single layer cardboard and you glue it together. That's what we did for our first pieces.
Okay.
We couldn't afford the Tri-Wall, so we made it. So it's universally available just about any place. It doesn't take special tools to build it. If you're a woodworker, you're familiar with just about every tool that we use in the shop, and we have essentially a woodworking shop down in Raleigh. And then the other 2 attributes that we've talked about is it's very lightweight and it's extremely strong. So we don't have to worry, or a family doesn't have to worry about, is it going to hold my loved one? No, don't worry about it. It's strong enough. Can you create what we want? Well, 95% of the time, the answer is going to be yes. and we'll do it out of cardboard.
So that leads me to an interesting question. Can you create what they want? Most of the time, is it somebody's coming to you with like a sketch, or somebody has been sent to you by, a medical professional or a healthcare provider, and they're like, these people can help you with, some with a device. What was the word you were using earlier? Adaptations.
Yeah.
We've had one come to us with her own design.
Right.
One.
And she was a girl who was going off to college who needed some equipment and furniture for her and her service dog. So
okay.
she's the only one that's ever designed her own furniture, which was kind of cool and very fun to put her drawings to life. But otherwise, absolutely not. It's a lot of sitting and brainstorming and talking about the needs and the wants and and then we have some wonderful, talented people on our team who do some CAD designing for us.
Okay.
To get it ready for the fabricators.
How many staff in this company?
Well, you're looking at the bulk of the staff, right? Those of us that I'll say run the organization, manage the organization, do the fundraising, make sure that we're taking care of all the requirements for the government, et cetera, et cetera. But the heavy lifting on all of our designs and fabrication and the finishing of these items is all done by volunteers that we call innovation specialists.
And how do you acquire these volunteers? Is this just like you open up the shop on the weekends and get a church group in there or something like that?
No, not exactly. We have done that, but typically the way we're finding our volunteers has grown over the 7 years that we've been doing this by word of mouth, by experience, by others coming in and then saying, hey, I found the greatest place for you to come in and devote your time and your talents. It's fun. You're going to give back to the community. You're going to get more out of it than you give. And so the word of mouth is grown us probably the most. Michelle is a whiz at social media. And so, you'll find us on Facebook and you'll find us on Instagram and posts a lot about what, who we're serving, and has great pictures of the individuals, and then also who's come into the shop and all that. And so networking, and that Ashley does a lot of, well, we also network for the volunteers to come into the shop as well.
So what are the total roles? Does Ashley do, you said networking, what else?
Ashley is our development coordinator.
Okay.
And so she is responsible for essentially driving all the funding that we need. With the exception of grants, we have a grant writer. Right?
Okay.
But other than that, that's Ashley's role. Michelle is our office manager, and as I said earlier, she does just about everything else, all of our social media, marketing, creating of the materials that we use, helping me currently with presentations and things like that. We have a volunteer coordinator who is responsible for managing all of the volunteers that come into our shop. And there's a whole variety of volunteers, able-bodied and disabled bodies. And we embrace everybody to come into the shop, and that's something we ought to talk about later. It's not just those that are coming into the shop to help that are like us, meaning we're fully bodied. Our wits are about us, and we don't have to worry about things like that. We also bring in others that are challenged, and we ask them to help create things for others who have challenges. So that's Brian E. Voorhees is our volunteer coordinator. We have an opening for a shop instructor. We had one. His name was Doug Nelson, and Doug had some health issues, so he had to back away. But our shop instructor is the person who guides all of the fabricators, the builders, on the woodworking side of the shop. Very important, safety first, and we're dealing with power tools and sharp things.
My favorite part.
Yeah, yep. So you'd be right at home, by the way, at our shop. And then my position, the executive director position, of which I am leaving at the end of this year. And We have a fine gentleman named Mike Giannakos, who is he's forgotten more about how to do fundraising and development stuff than I'd ever learn. And he is joining us. He's actually into his third week of the transition, so that eventually I can just come back into the shop as an innovation specialist, and Michelle and Ashley and the others will torture me when I come back in, when they give me all of the tough assignments.
I'm sure they are counting the days till they can do that. Yeah.
Let me check. Hold on.
Yeah. What day is that? Yeah.
But we have, but it is a very small staff. And the volunteers, last year, our fiscal year runs from July 1 to June 30th. Last year, we brought in 144 new volunteers into the shop.
Wow.
Now, they might have been one time, or they might have been numerous times, but that is our best year ever of having new folks, new faces, new talent into the shop. And we're off to a great start again this year.
And I guess you can really use every form of volunteer, because, I mean, if you're skilled and know how to run the table saw, that's cool. If you want to hold a paintbrush, that's also cool. If you want to cheer in the corner and bring, chips to share, that's probably, it all helps at some level.
Yeah, cheerleading we haven't had yet, but we could use that as well. Yeah. Michelle, so just give us a rundown of some of the stuff that we have volunteers do when they come in.
They can tape. Taping is what we call it. When it comes in from the back and you see the raw cardboard edges, we take paper bags from the grocery store and some white glue and basically just paper mache the edges.
Oh, okay. So you don't see the wavy.
Correct.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So
cool.
A lot of people see our equipment and they think it's wood.
Right.
And that's our
a couple of the pictures I was like, that's a pretty thick looking piece of like 2x4.
Yeah,
but,
right.
I get, it makes sense now if you fill those edges and you glue it really nice. I mean, do you still have to like clamp it, or do you have to use like a press? Would a clamp not break the cardboard with too small of a space? Like,
no, we use clamps a lot.
Okay.
When we're gluing things together, depending on the device. So we use clamps a lot, and
we're finishing off and putting matting on.
Yeah.
We use a lot of yoga mat at the end to
yoga mat. Oh, how smart, man.
Yep. Yoga matting is for the cushioning and just padding.
Talk about durability. Yeah, that's a great.
It works.
Clearly, you guys thought of this. Yeah.
So what else? Other than taping?
They can tape. Once that's dry, then we sand.
Okay.
After sanding, so there's a lot of sanding always to be done. After sanding, then we prime. Between each coat of prime, we sand again. So again, lots of sanding. And then after the 3+ coats of prime, then we add the color. And the color is, depending on, shades, it could be 3 coats, it could be 6 coats if it's a red or a yellow.
Yep. Red's tough. Yeah.
After we get all the color on, then we detail. So we custom design these pieces to whatever theme or character the kid or family chooses. And so like right now we've got aquarium and we have outer space and we have word party and
do you see upticks change with like
Disney
with like what's going on in movies or like Marvel culture?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's like
who's your favorite latest recording artist?
Yeah. And so detailing is probably one of our lowest volunteer pools.
Oh, really? I thought that'd be the most fun, getting to decorate, basically.
It is fun. I think it's the most fun.
Yeah. Like cool stickers and designs. And
it's intimidating.
We don't do stickers.
It's intimidating.
Everything is hand painted.
Oh, okay. Forgive me. That's probably, well, yeah, that's why I'm not, see, I get it. I'm not going to volunteer for that.
So now you're not going to detail. Your fun just went all the way down.
Let me clarify. You don't want me to detail. Yeah. I'd be happy to.
Well, can you color in a coloring book?
I mean, technically, yes.
Okay, that's all it is. We find images and we trace them on. And then
okay, you're going to trace it on for me? Okay. Yeah. That's different.
Yeah. I mean, we do have some.
I thought you were going to be like, here's a picture of Harry Potter. Go paint it. I'd be like, Sorry, not happening. If you have a sticker, I'd be happy to put it right in the middle there. I will center that. I'll bring my own tape measure. I got you. But yeah.
There's plenty of people said, why don't you do stickers? Why don't you do details? For a few reasons. One, my point of view, we put a sticker on there, the kid's going to peel it off.
I'll give you that immediately. Yeah.
Two, we really like to hand do everything. That's part of just who we are. It's made for me, and everything is just hand done.
I mean, yeah, you guys are doing amazing work. I don't think anybody's going to argue with it. Yeah, I got no problem with no stickers. Yeah, and if you could stencil it on for me, maybe I'll give it a shot.
So then after we're done with the detailing, then we put at least 3 coats of clear coat on.
Okay.
And then after the clear coat, we add any matting that we need to add on, and then we're ready for delivery.
With the paint.
But that's all the front shop stuff. That's not the fabrication side.
Right. Yeah, it's already built.
Right.
So when it comes to the paint and the clear coat, do you have to use like anything abnormal than say what I'm using? Because like I don't know all the ailments you're dealing with, but like if somebody's gonna have whatever ailment it might be and they start gnawing on this thing, does it have to be like a safe clear coat and a safe
Everything's
paint?
water based.
Okay.
Yeah, and we use that because of most of the stuff, even if it's not water based, it's not going to be toxic.
Right.
But people believe that it may be, and so we avoid that by just using all water soluble.
Awesome. Yeah. Problem solved.
Yep.
Has there been a large need for people who come back with damage for repairs on products you guys have built?
Not a large
Not
need.
huge.
And if the damage is anything, it's cosmetic.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, right, you're dealing with paper. And so depending on how aggressive it's used, how often it's used, those edges will kind of fray. And we thankfully just let us know. If you can afford it to do without it for a little while, we'll take it back to the shop and we'll make it, refurbished, make it look as close to new as possible. The thing is, we've not had any of our families need something brought back because the structure failed on them or looked like it was going to fail. So
awesome.
We've had stuff that we built in 2017 that is still in use today. And it may look, it's like the Timex watch. It took a licking, but it kept on ticking. Cosmetically, it doesn't look maybe as nice, but structurally, it's as sound as the day we built it.
Yeah, and I mean, what's really the priority?
It needs to be safe.
Exactly.
It needs to be sound.
Yeah, I mean, I've got scuffs on my wall in my gym next door. It's like, it happens. Yeah. How many heroes have you helped from 2017? What is that? We're on year 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just delivered Friday? This past Friday to our 111th family. And just to give you an idea of growth, 2 years, I just go back 2 years, we served 16 families. Last year we served 33. And so in 3 months we've done 12. We have another 14 in process at the shop and well along in the shop, right? We need those detailers, right? So come on down. We need those detailers.
Listeners too.
Yeah.
Get over there.
Yeah, please. Yeah. We'll give you the address on the shop,
all
too.
27 of you.
I got you. Well,
hey, 27, no, at least 27 more people.
There we go. Let's go.
Right?
Bring them on down. You'll feel good.
So anyway, we're on our glide path to do at least 50 this year.
Is the limit to how many you can do based on volunteers?
There's a couple limitations. Capacity is for us is one of number of volunteers of those variety of skills that Michelle was talking about. It also is limited by the amount of space that we have. So quite honestly, I mean, we've got a 2,400 square foot shop, which beats the pants off of my 300 square foot garage.
I bet.
But when we have it split like we do from finishing to fabricating, you get more than about 10 people in the fabricating side. It gets crowded. And you get more than 4 people in the fabricating. Did I say fabricating before?
Yeah, you flip-flopped.
Yeah. So if you get more than 10 people in the finishing side, it gets crowded. If you get more than 4 people in the fabricating side, it gets crowded because we have limited workspace. We've got 4 tables. We've got many one-off of the sophisticated tools like table saws and band saws and chop saws and stuff like that. So there's competition for space and for tools. So that means from us, we have to be more creative on how do we use the available talent and how do we use that talent throughout the week better.
Is there future sites on being large enough to just have full-time fabricators?
Yeah, depending on, people can't see me rubbing my fingers together for the money sign.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that is driven, would be driven by how much money we can raise.
Yeah.
Without giving our budget away. I mean, we spend upwards of $40,000 to $50,000 a year just on the space that we exist in, right? For rent, for utilities, internet, et cetera, et cetera. So we would love to have a larger space, but find it at a competitive price that is within our budget. That doesn't exist right now. Is it there in the future? Well, if we're going to grow like we want to grow, once we get into the 70 to 100 families a year, we'll be out of space.
Right.
We will not be able to handle that load in the physical footprint that we have today.
Right. Gotcha. So you mentioned all of the things that were on the finishing side.
Correct.
And not any of the stuff on the fabricating side. Do you want to outline that a little bit? I mean, I guess it kind of looks similar to a woodworking shop.
It is similar to a woodworking shop.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got our CAD designers who help design it, and then our fabricators will put it together. Sometimes it's working off the 3D CAD design, and sometimes it's tweaking the 3D CAD design. And once they have it all put together, we then contact the family, and we go out and do a fitting. So we make sure that it works.
Okay. Before you waste all the time finishing it.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Is there, I assume the answer is yes, but there's some sort of initial measuring of the hero in some sort of capacity so that it's custom exactly to them. And
It's magical.
Do you work in them growing and it adjusting?
We do. We try to work in 3 years of growth.
Yeah. Michelle, why don't you describe what we go through? Because I think it's important for your listeners to understand that this is not just, we think we're going to do something and it'll be okay. We really take a lot of time and effort.
Outline that process. So if you so we assume there's some sort of initial contact, obviously, either the therapist that they're using or some sort of organization that's well aware of the work that you guys are doing.
Yeah, so they come in through our website.
Okay.
There's an intake process on our website, and they fill it out. And then I contact them, and I say, hey, I see that you filled out an adaptation request. Where do you meet? When do you meet with your therapist? Because we always make sure the therapist or PT, OT, speech therapist is involved.
So you go to a meeting with the therapist as well. Oh, I love that.
So it's either in person if it's close enough and we've got the time and whatnot. Otherwise, we do the first one virtually.
Right.
We take over 20 measurements.
What would we even do without Zoom? I mean, does life life would have just stopped? Yeah,
well,
I hear you giggling through the headphones.
Yeah. Our first virtual one was when COVID hit.
There you go. Of course.
Yeah. So we really talk. We talk for a good 30 minutes to an hour, usually the first meeting, just kind of discussing what the family's needing, what the kids needing, what the loved ones needing. Just kind of brainstorm ideas and talk about what we think that they're asking for. Our CAD designer goes off and
I'm sorry to cut you off. Is that sometimes hard to get to the root of what they're asking for? Or is it usually rather clear?
I think as time goes by, it's definitely more clear. We've got a lot of ideas now in our head that we've made so far. So we're like, ooh, this would work for that.
Oh, okay.
Or this would work for that.
When we first started, we had a few oops because family thought they knew what they wanted,
Mm.
And it was the family. And so we went down a path based on the input from the family. And then the therapist finally gets inserted and says, what are you doing that for? That's not what they need. They need this. And this was totally different than what we were creating. So we very quickly learned that we want the family's input. We're going to rely on the therapist's input because
Right.
they're the expert.
Yeah.
They know the condition that the loved one has. They know the symptoms. They know the challenges that those symptoms then present to the loved one. And so we rely on their input 99% of the
Yeah,
time.
because it's not as emotionally tagged
Yeah.
as the loved one who, let's be honest, obviously coming from a good place to even get to hear of
Yeah.
caring enough to want to
Right.
have that meeting. But a lot of times you let emotions jump in. I mean, it's the same thing in my world. Our worlds are drastically different, but they have a lot of similarities.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, when somebody needs an ADU built for their aging parents and they start really getting emotional about things that are, and it's like, wait a minute, let's calm down and think about what you actually need.
Right.
Let's not, you know, and dive into it that way. And it can be difficult.
Yeah.
You know?
You asked a point earlier about growth. So Michelle described the measurement process and how Kevin uses that when he designs something for a family.
So we take over 20 measurements when we're creating something for a special needs loved one. And then Kevin takes that and works the growth charts online that they
To
have
prepare for
through-
that 3 year you
to
mentioned.
prepare for that
Okay.
3-year growth. So we can add foot plates in. We can add plates in the back for the chair that it can take out as they grow. So we've done seat ones too, the seat plates, extra seat. So we just
I'm way
way technical.
one that makes it like higher and deeper, and then you
You
can
got it.
remove them,
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
making the chair physically bigger without
Yep.
having to like break it apart.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Like modular
Yep.
systems. Cool. Okay, yeah. I'm a visual person, so I
Yeah.
was like, but I think I get what you're. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. I mean,
You got
that's
it.
smart. Yeah, and especially, at least I believe so. A lot younger, the growth is faster, so you got to be prepared for like quite a bit. You
It
know,
is.
14 to 16 might not be as much as like 5 to 8.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Kids grow like weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which if I can digress for a minute, that's one of the challenges that families have when they're trying to find something for their loved one. You know, they can't find it, you know, even the wonders of the internet, because it doesn't fit what they're looking for.
And you said they're very expensive.
Oh, and then if they are finding it,
They
it's
think about it,
hugely expensive.
and they think about it just for a year or whatever of use. Yeah.
Yep. And then the third issue they find is it's going to take me how long to get it? I mean, this is before, you know, supply chain issues that we've had as a result of COVID.
What's an average turnaround for you guys?
Right now, between 10 and 16 weeks
It's incredible.
from
when you think
first
about
intake to delivery of product.
when you think about how it's completely on a volunteer schedule and it's 100% custom. I don't think anybody could really argue with that kind of time. Oh, and it's free. Let's
and it's free.
let's not forget about that. Yeah, it's an incredible turnaround time.
Yeah.
And
then
you I assume you have no inventory. It's all meet, make, custom.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
We have, I'll stand corrected a little bit. We do have a little bit of inventory. We have some, I'll call them
Some
standard
showpieces.
items.
Oh, okay.
Standard items that when we're working with the school system, because we do create items for schools in their exceptional children's programs that they can use in the classroom, and they're kind of standard. So we have a few of those on the shelves ready to pull down if the school contacts us about it.
Right.
But other than that, it's all custom. We're making individual functional pieces of art that are going to take care of a need that an individual family couldn't get anywhere else in the world.
I mean, if you could put a couple of standard pieces in every public school in the country, you would that's the funding you'd need to expand your way for sure. Maybe just charge the school system and everyone else can do it for free.
You got it. Yeah. Although getting into
hire
school
me. I got
systems-
plenty of ideas. No, don't hire me.
We need implementers. I got the ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If anything, you need me in the shop. That's where that's where I would help. I can run you. I can run your table saw all day long. That's no problem. Okay. So you were continuing about the process. So online to you reach out directly. The meeting is purposely with the therapist.
Correct.
Then after that, you've decided that meeting really breaks through the emotion and gets down to, okay, what's the need? How do we fill it with a product that we can create?
Correct.
And then you go to Kevin for the measuring.
Yep.
Okay.
Sometimes Kevin's on the call, and sometimes Kevin can whip together something. If it's more a simple project, he can whip together a 3D design that he'll put on the screen and say, is this what we're thinking? Otherwise, he goes back and designs and then sends it out. And then I send that back out to the family and the therapist and say, hey, how does this look? Does this look what you were thinking?
Gotcha.
And then we'll go and start building.
And so then I think you already kind of laid out. You're going from the rendering to a real CAD drawing to like actual. Let's still call them carpenters, I guess, fabricating it out of cardboard, chop saw, table saw. Not that complicated to rip panels into smaller panels.
Right.
We're doing a lot of glue up. Is it all glue? Is there any other fastener?
Wood dowels.
Wood dowels.
Yep.
Okay. And
Sometimes some PVC pipes, depending on what
PVC
we're making.
piping. Okay, interesting. And all glue, and then finishing
It's an industrial hot melt glue system that
okay.
we have. It's not your craft gun, right? That wouldn't work for what we do, but we are blessed to have a very nice hot melt glue system.
Interesting. Okay, so the big boy version of like a hot glue gun.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
let's see. I describe it this way. It's a crock pot with a pump on steroids.
Okay.
Literally, what we do is
I cannot wait to see this thing.
It's visualize a hopper. That's the crock pot, and you put glue chips in it. You heat that crock pot up to 300 degrees. It melts the glue. It's got a pumping system that will pump it through a heated hose and a heated gun. And once you pull that trigger, out comes a stream of glue that's extremely hot. It'll flow very nicely, and it'll start to set up in about 20 seconds.
How big of a bead are we talking about?
I can
How
adjust
wide
it
is
to literally just maybe 1/16 to an 1/18 of an inch, or I can have it where it's a pool coming out. Right? We don't use the pool side. We don't use the
I mean, if you're pulling up a whole sheet against a sheet, I mean, I don't know.
Well, we don't use that when we're laying up cardboard. We'll use white glue for that because that avoids
glue.
the air gaps in between.
Okay, gotcha. So the hot glue is more like assembly, edge to edge.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. So you got two main glue types: PVC, wood dowel, and then your paints and your finishes. Okay, so material wise, we're under like 10 different materials. It's very low.
Mm-hmm.
And are you getting everything donated or just the cardboard?
I wish we were.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't say it that way because that will diminish the impact that those that are helping us really do. We are blessed to have a relationship with International Paper up in Richmond, Virginia. They donate the cardboard to us. They have done it 3 times in the past. We rent a 26-foot truck. We drive up. They'll load it up with as much as that will hold, and we bring it back to our shop and put it in our stores. That cardboard, the last time we were up there, they donated 13,000 square feet of cardboard.
Whoa.
And if we were to go on the open market to try and buy it, would have cost us anywhere between $12,000 and $20,000, depending on how much we could have bought at a time.
And that gets you approximately how many devices?
Well, great question for which I can't give you an answer because it all depends, right? But we think based on current run rates, it'll last 2 years, and we're 1 year into the last delivery. So we've got about
a lot.
A lot.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
A very, very significant amount.
Oh yeah, they will.
We're talking about years. We can remove the talking about individual item numbers.
But as I
amazing.
said, we did 33 families last year. We're on the pathway to do 50 families. So that 2 years worth of cardboard will serve. I'll round it up from 80 to 100 families.
So within a family, is it only one device per family, or is it one device per person? Does a family have more than one person with an ailment? Are they coming back 3 years later after they've outgrown it?
Yes.
All the above. Okay.
We try to limit on the first meetings that we're not going to do more than 3 devices for the individual. And it could be
for one individual.
Okay. Right. And so, for example, it could be a chair. The chair could have a custom tray table to it, and it could have also maybe a table that goes with it. So there's your 3 main devices. And Michelle, how just out of 111 families, how many of those families have come back in our relatively short history? How many of those families have come back for another device?
5 to 10.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And so we have repeat heroes, and for us, I view that as such a positive thing from a number of reasons. One is that hero is growing, which is great.
That's great.
Right? Because we've had 2 or 3 of our heroes who have passed away, right? These are not trivial issues that they deal with. And so anytime we can celebrate a birthday, which we do, we send birthday cards out to all of our heroes and all of our volunteers. But anytime we can celebrate that a hero is outgrown of one of our devices, that's terrific, right? I'm thinking of Gabriel. I'm thinking of Paulette. I'm thinking of, begins with a D. Can't remember his name, but I can visualize it. So that's a great thing for us.
Devin and Grace and
Grace,
Ryan and.
Yep. So it's really a cool thing. I think it speaks well to what we're doing as a relatively small nonprofit, in the sense that, yes, you liked what we were doing enough that you want to come back for a second pass. Yeah. Either because the loved one has grown or hey, could you do something else for us? And we rarely say no.
Or this is working so well, can you make another one for home? Or this is working so well, can you make another one for school?
Yeah. We see that. We're seeing that more and more.
Mm-hmm.
It's duplicates of chairs, for example, that will help Christopher at his school. And now let's create one that's similar but different for the home environment.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any sort of pay option for the people coming back for a second and third device if they can afford it?
No, Jim McKagy and I, when we first started this thing, did not want to add to the financial or emotional burdens of the community that we're serving. Right? Jim has 4 adopted kids, 3 of which have a special need. I have a stepson who's on the autism spectrum, so we know firsthand how draining it can be for the families. And so we decided from the day one that we were not going to add to those burdens. We were going to try and help them. And we'll never change that. We'll never change it for the families. If you want more and we're able to, God bless you. We'll do whatever we can.
Okay, so then let's jump into how can people donate. Either, obviously, some money would be easy for people if they have the time to come work on some of these projects. I mean, obviously, this is a construction and homeownership podcast, so there's a lot of people who know how to work a table saw and a chop saw listening that could come and help fabricate for you guys.
Yeah.
What's the easiest way? I'm assuming the website's probably the easiest way.
Website, Facebook, Instagram.
All the above. Is there a direct phone number that you can give out?
833 Made for Me.
833 Made for Me. Okay.
With the number 4, the 4.
The number 4.
That's spelled out.
Made for, right. Okay.
Yeah, with the
Made
number 4.
the number 4. Okay.
Yes.
And it's madeforme.com?
Madeforme.org.
.org. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And Made for Me on Facebook, Made for Me on Instagram.
You got it.
Okay. Awesome.
And LinkedIn.
And if I could just add a little bit of flavor into, if for those out there that are listening and you think about your time and your talent, and then I'm going to turn it over to Michelle for the treasures part. But the time and the talent that we have when we describe those processes, I would invite anybody that might want to come down to consider come down to the shop. Right? Contact us, arrange for just a short visit, and we'll give you the tour. We'll explain the history more than what we've done here. We'll show you what we're doing, how we're doing it, and why we're doing it. And I would venture to say, by the time they leave, they will want to come back if they can, right? And the types of you don't have to be experts in anything. The only thing that we would ask for is that you have skills in the fabricating side, because you are using power tools, and as you know, Corbett, I mean, it's not something you just say, yeah, I'm going to use that table saw. No.
No, you have to respect those machines.
You have to respect the machines. Yeah. And we require anybody that comes in the shop that wants to be a fabricator. There's a series of videos that they must watch. I'm going to segue into, we have a shop instructor, or used to, that would train you and buddy you up with a trained fabricator that's there. And so if anyone wants to also donate their time and their talent, or in this case, be willing to be paid nominally for that talent and time, we're in need of a shop instructor, someone that is familiar with tools and processes in a woodworking shop, and could guide our fabricators and new ones, and provide some value for us to make sure that we're doing things properly today and for the future. So I'll throw that one out there as a specific need.
What is the time commitment for that? Because I know a volunteer can do as much time as they can or cannot. That's pretty easy. I have an hour. I have 6 hours.
Right.
Well, that paid position for the shop instructor, what does that time commitment look like?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking. So we're asking for 20 hours a week, between 15 and 20 hours a week. We're open Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 3. Wednesdays and Thursdays, we're open from 9 to 5. And since we have fabricators that come in either any of those days, we would want that individual to be somewhat flexible, so that as they're seeing when fabricators are in at maybe at a higher level, or newer ones are coming in, that they would adjust their time to be there when we have a high number, or we've got people that are new that need to be trained up.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's definitely a flexible thing, but really that 9 to 3 hours, that's the golden hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
What about treasures? How do people donate?
You can donate online on our Facebook page, on our Instagram page, on our website. We also have a Amazon and Walmart wish list for supplies.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
So that's on the bottom of our website, on our homepage.
I actually, personally, I really like that you do that, because obviously meeting with you guys, I was sold already, but meeting with you guys, this is super cool, and I'm probably going to find a way to carve out a couple hours to at least go fabricate one day.
Nice.
But, and maybe I'll try some detailing. Yeah.
I dare you.
If you have a small enough brush and you put the stencil on there, I'll try one.
All right.
Okay, you have my word. But it is definitely a real stigma for people blindly throwing money at nonprofit organizations, and they don't know where they're using it.
Right.
And I'm not blowing smoke up any nonprofit. I don't want any smoke from anybody. Red Cross, y'all do great stuff. Cool. But there's a track record for a reason. There's a stigma for a reason. And, I don't know where that $50 went. But you know exactly where the glue you bought at Amazon went, because it went, what are they going to do? Resell the glue? I mean, come on. Yep. You guys are using the glue. So that, not that the donations aren't just as important, but I think that that's pretty cool. That
got it.
If you just want to throw us a quick Amazon thing, or you built up some Amazon points,
right.
It's not even really costing you anything.
True.
But just throw us your points.
Yeah.
Such an easy way, Joe. The more options that you give people, it's smart. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. On our website, you can do it through obviously PayPal. You can do it through Venmo. You can do it through Cash App. You can do it through your Google Pay and Apple Pay.
Taking everything.
Pretty easy.
Taking everything.
Everything.
Everything but cash, because it's dirty and full of coronavirus still.
We also hold some fundraisers during the year, and the one that's closest coming up is on Giving Tuesday, which is on November 28th. And so what we've done in the past, we've opened up the shop. We schedule about an hour and a half, and we invite people to come in, and they can paint ornaments for themselves, leave a couple of the shop so we can give them out to senior centers, et cetera. And we're going to do that again on the 28th. Be looking for on our website and social media. We'll have that communicated out. We're going to flip it around a little bit because we want to grow, but growth means dollars. And so we're going to ask for a nominal donation or consideration for a donation to come in and help offset some of our expenses. That's a way that folks can give back to us. So that's coming up. We also have in May, we have what's called our Superhero Blast, where it's going to be on May 17th this year down at Marbles Kids Museum downtown. A lot of fun. And we bring in our heroes for free, and we invite others in the community to come in, and they'll have great food. There'll be music. There'll be
testimonies,
photo booth. It's just a fun night. It's a way of celebrating our heroes as well as fundraising for us. And then in September of each year, we have our Strikeout for Heroes Bowl-a-thon, and we're holding it. We held it at Strike and Barrel in Wake Forest, which is a fun place, and we'll probably do that again this coming September.
Awesome. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Wow. This is just so overwhelmingly incredible. I'm kind of excited to go do some fabricating.
And detailing.
It's all right. We know where you live now, so if you don't show up.
This is true. You set yourself up.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I better show up. Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you think the listener should know about the incredible work you guys are doing at Made4Me?
If I could close it maybe with some of this. We're blessed that we've been able to help 111 families so far. By the end of the year, it'll be close to 126. Right? We have not even scratched the surface of the need in the triangle. Get this. In the last census in 2020, over 200,000 individuals declared themselves of having at least one disability. 18,000 of them are under the age of 18. Now, will all of those folks need something like what we do? Nah. Okay. Pick your number. Pick your fraction. 50%? 9,000 kids? 25%? 4,500 kids? I'll keep going. I don't need to. Point is, if you like what we're doing and you feel that you have a servant's heart and you want to help serve those that are less fortunate than yourself, come kick our tires. Visit our website, come down to the shop, and see how you can get involved, not only in the day-to-day or the hands-on stuff, but allow us financially to be able to grow and serve more of that community. You'll get more out of it than you give. Trust me.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. And then once again, everybody, Made4Me.org. Check them out. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the above. They're doing some good stuff, and get involved if you got some time, especially if you have a steady hand at some detailing, which I'm going to try one time. I'll probably fabricate more than once, but the detailing, I'm only promising one round of detailing. You only get one. And as always, the Orange Hammer Podcast. We're on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Corb at WSDG, or 845-489-6057. If you want to come on the podcast, need some work in the triangle, or want me to talk about something specific, that's where you contact me. And I just really want to say thank you guys for coming out. Ashley, I know you're not on the mic, but you put this together, so you get, like, you and Ed get all the applause. And I really just appreciate your insight, and thanks for all the work you're doing. I know my thanks is very low compared to the 111, soon to be 128 families that probably wish they could say thank you more and more, and they get to have some semblance of normality restored. So we appreciate what you guys are doing.
And
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's my pleasure to have you. All right. Thanks for coming, and bye, everybody. Appreciate it.